Nip It Away Dharma Talks.
Talk 7, 22nd of July 2012. Right concentration. Professor Geoffrey Hunt talks about concentration and mindfulness in meditation.
Today's talk is about meditation in general. We're just going to introduce this idea of meditation. There are lots of ideas about what meditation is, and it's a very general sort of word that means many different things. So, for example, people will say that they had a nice afternoon in the garden meditating. That's all right. We don't want to try to change the English language. What that means really is something like relaxing. Also, a person might say that they're meditating when what they mean is that they're having a quiet think about the course of their life or something of that kind. And I would call that contemplation in order to distinguish it from meditation. Contemplation is based on thinking about this or that, taking a break from all the hustle bustle of life and the things one normally thinks about, which are often anxiety driven. But contemplation is a good thing. Relaxation is a good thing. In many ways, these are requirements. They're preliminaries to meditation. Taking it a bit further, we sometimes hear of, say, antenatal clinics using breathing meditation. Well, this is very well and good as well, of course. And the breathing techniques used in postnatal clinics or in anger management, for example, are related to the Buddha's teaching and to ancient Hindu practices. They involve focusing on the breathing. It becomes meditation in the Buddha Dharma sense when it takes on some special characteristics. Those characteristics are turning your mind inwards and basically doing two kinds of things which can be related. One we call concentration, or shamatha, or tranquility meditation, and the other has been called mindfulness, or vipassana. They're not really different things. They're very much the same thing. If I could put my finger on what the difference is, it would be that concentration meditation is fixed on an object, whereas mindfulness is momentary. So sometimes they've been described as fixed concentration and momentary meditation, because mindfulness is more open to anything that is arising, or perhaps a field of things that are arising, and the mind is allowed to move in a very attentive way between those different objects arising. Whereas concentration meditation is fixed in one place. So we've got one object of meditation. Both of these requires attention. No attention, no meditation. It is very important indeed to develop one's power of attention. I always emphasize this because I often see many books or teachers jumping immediately to mindfulness without actually going through the finer points of attention. It's not actually that easy to say what it is, and psychologists have tried to study it, and there are books on it, but they generally fail to say quite what it is, because it is mental. So it doesn't lend itself very easily to empirical or scientific pinning down. But that doesn't matter. We can say what attention is. So if I say, what are you attending to now? You would all answer, I'm attending to what you're saying. So you're attending to my voice. So that is attention. But we need to be just a little bit clearer on the intellectual plane about what attention is, so that we know how to deploy it and to develop the power of attention. First of all, we could say that attention is rather like a torch in a dark room, to use an analogy. If you enter a dark room, don't see anything at all, then you switch on your torch. And a torch generally has quite a narrow beam. And what you see is what is in the beam of the torch. You can't take everything in at once, and you may move the beam of the torch around, picking up different things, and then you will be selecting things of significance, and then you may start connecting up things of significance. This is how the mind works. we can't attend to everything at once. The mind doesn't work that way. We can certainly expand the mind to take in more at once, but generally we have to attend to one thing at a time. How do we do that? And how do we manage in the world? How are we able to act in the world if the mind is like a torch? Well, because we're flicking the torch about and then we are joining up the things that we attend to, or the things that we perceive when we attend. And of course, we can make mistakes. We can construct things in different ways. It's no surprise when you look in the dark room with your torch, and then I come in later and I look in the room with a torch, and we compare notes, we may come up with something rather different. This is a power that the mind has. It's something that the mind can do. It's absolutely vital. If one wasn't able to attend, one wouldn't be able to function. And of course, there are pathological conditions, or there are disabilities around attention, such as attention deficit syndromes, or hyperactivity syndromes, in which attention is dancing about so quickly that it is difficult to function. Now we want to go in the opposite direction. We want to harness the power of attention. If we can harness the power of attention, we can meditate. Without harnessing that power, we cannot meditate, or can't meditate adequately, or we can't meditate powerfully and intensely enough to bring about that change of perspective and that letting go of the ego. So we really need to pay attention to attention, kind of a meta-attention, a higher level of attention. What is this thing called attention? Well, one thing that we notice about attention, that a lot of it is about excluding other things. So if I say, let us now attend to that beautiful bell in the center of the room, we're now looking at it, we could hear it earlier on. What you may not realize, of course, is that you're excluding everything around the bell. Attention operates and has its power not so much by boring into something, but also by excluding everything that's around it. So it's as though you have an aperture or a diaphragm in a camera. And the way we attend is we close the diaphragm around the thing that we want to pay attention to. In other words, it's the power of exclusion. This is very important in concentration meditation because we narrow down that diaphragm to, say, the sensation of breath, or the whole motion of the breath involving the abdomen, or a candle flame. We narrow down that focus. What are we doing? We're excluding everything else. We are, in fact, letting go. And that is the point of the whole exercise, is that one way to let go of thinking, involving memories and so on, as well as other sensations, sounds and so on, is to get the mind to hold on to one thing, stay in one place. It's like training that little dog, saying, sit, one place, sit there. Sit means put your backside down, stay in that one place, don't get up until I say, let's go, or whatever. It's difficult. The dog doesn't know what you mean at first. Now, it's like that with our mind. Our mind doesn't quite understand what it is that we're supposed to be doing in meditation. It's got to narrow down that diaphragm, narrow down that focus, and stay in one place and not do anything except rest in that one place. This raises a number of other things about attention. We are holding on to one thing, we're doing so closely, we're doing so continuously, if we can, and we are just resting there. We are not really grasping it, like I'm closing my fist now to grasp it. We are resting in it. If I were to pick up this little bell and put a P in the bell and rotate it around like this and then put it on the floor, the P is going to go round and round and round, and it's going to gently come to rest in the middle of the bell. We're trying to do that with the mind. So we're not trying to grasp at, say, the sensation of breath. We're trying to get the mind to rest in the sensation of breath. We're not at this point interested in the sensation of breath itself. We're not thinking about it. We're not saying to ourselves, I am now focusing on the sensation of breath. We're not interested in what it is. We want the mind to rest in that one place. If I start thinking about it, examining it, telling stories about it, I'm not meditating. I'm trying to rest in that one place without any discrimination, if you like, without any judgment about it, without any thought about it. Thoughts may come in about the object of meditation, or more likely, thoughts will come in about other completely unrelated matters. Where have I parked the car? What's for dinner tonight? What are my friends doing this evening? I wonder what my holiday is going to be like. And then I think, oh, whoops, I was supposed to be meditating, wasn't I? Or there'll be some other distraction. So there'll be a loud noise. An aeroplane will fly over, a door will slam, and my mind will go there. See, the mind is quite sticky in the sense that it will adhere to whatever pushes itself into its attention. But we are learning to place it on one thing that we're attending to and rest there. There are no such things as distractions. I know this sounds strange. You may think, well, of course there are distractions. Every beginner says this. I can't meditate because of a distraction. If you say it's a distraction, you're labeling it as something that is outside you, that's getting in the way of your doing something called meditating. So the moment you say that's a distraction, you are not meditating any longer. Something is only a distraction in relation to what your mind is doing. If you're holding on to it, it's a distraction. If you allow it to adhere to your mind, it's a distraction. If, on the other hand, you're training the mind to let go of whatever arises, then they're not distractions. They're just things that are popping up in a kind of mental space. They just pop up. They have no particular significance. I don't pass judgment on them. I don't try to reject them. And I don't stick to them. See, when I say something is a distraction, I'm rejecting it. So sometimes we can hear the church bells coming from the cathedral nearby. And some people have said to me, isn't that a distraction? We come to meditate and then we hear the church bells. Well, there are two things you can do here. One is not reject the church bells at all and just get back to your object of meditation. If that proves to be difficult, then take the church bells as your object of meditation. So now it's no longer a distraction, is it? Because now it is your object of meditation. What's the difference between an object of meditation and a distraction? An object of meditation is where you've decided to be. A distraction is where apparently you don't want to be, so you're rejecting it. The first thing to clear up about this is that there are no distractions. There's a wandering of the mind, and there's a rejecting going on. So we don't stick to things and we don't reject things. We are much more laid back about it. The way we put it in the Buddha Dharma is that things arise. Our hearing of sounds is an arising. A thought is an arising. Arising, why do we use that term? Because it's neutral. Because I'm not attaching to it and I'm not rejecting it. It's just there. So I'm not judging it, I'm not trying to push it away, and I'm not trying to stick to it. So in meditation, I do need to do a kind of sticking, but it's a sticking under my control. I say I'm going to stick to the sensation of breath. That's initially. As we go on, you'll find that you're not sticking to it, you're settled in it. And in a way, you've almost become the sensation of breath. Or the same with the abdominal breathing. If you're watching the belly, or in Zen what is called the tanden, at first you're trying to stay with it. After a while you're not trying anymore. After a little bit longer, it's almost as though you've become whatever that is. What is it? I don't know. Does it matter? So the duality of me in here trying to stay with an object of meditation just fades away. Now we are really talking about meditation. We're not talking about relaxation. We're not talking about contemplation. Now we're talking about meditation. It's something distinctive, something new which you can do, but which doesn't generally come naturally. Introverted people often find it a little bit easier, but they have another problem, and that is thinking. There's usually too much of it. Extroverted people, they want some excitement. They want to be out there. They want to be doing things. They want to be talking. It can be a little bit of a torture at first to sit on a cushion and do nothing. But we can all do it. It's just something that requires exercise and patience.
New Buddha Way approaches meditation as a way of life, letting go of East and West, past and future, and starting afresh here and now. To find out more, visit www.newbuddhaway.org.